Hey everybody, let's go ahead and get into Real Housewives of Potomac Season 7, Episode 10, Cleaning Up the Mess. If you're brand new to my channel, I do breakdowns of various TV shows, both scripted and reality, interjecting my own thoughts, opinions, and theories into each and every recap. So, if you enjoy that type of content, go ahead, hit that subscribe button, thumbs up the video, and then hop into the comment section so we can talk about everything that happened in tonight's episode. So I didn't think this episode was that exciting. It seemed, I don't know, it wasn't quite a filler episode, but it wasn't exactly busting at the seams with like activity either. So the episode starts off with Karen in her at-home sauna, which is dope. I would love to have an in-house sauna. Ashley is TikToking, sick of seeing her TikTok. I'm sick of seeing Ashley TikTok every episode, y'all. But Ashley is TikToking. And then we see Mia and Gordon are with their kids at, I think, like a gym. We see her son look like he's coming from some type of practice. They have her daughter getting her dressed for, I don't know, gymnastics or something. You know, the episodes always start out with like a bunch of random scenes. So we get Robin and Gisele. They're recording an episode of their podcast, Reasonably Shady. So once they wrap up, Gisele tells her that the twins still want her at their birthday party. Obviously, they're 16 years old. They don't want their parents lurking around their birthday party. Robin talks about how she's going through getting their prenup in order. And then Gisele brings up Ashley and how she said that Wendy and Robin made up at the club. And Robin said, yeah, Wendy apologized to her and like cried over their situation, saying that, you know, she's just sorry for how everything went down. Robin then mentions that she wants to meet up with Candace about the issue they had after the club. Remember last episode, after all the women went and had that horrendous dinner for Karen's birthday by the pool or by the water, all of the ladies went out aside from Gisele. And as Candace and Robin were in the car coming home after X amount of drinks, everybody got a little drunk, got in their feelings, and then Candace started an argument with Robin, saying that Robin played the recording to spite her. And Candace is really just upset about the whole speaker situation. Gisele doesn't think that Candace can be upset about it because she said it. I know y'all don't like Gisele, but that's true though. That's true. Candace put that out. Candace sat on her Instagram. She said that to the world. So if it comes back around to you, stand in what you said. I think a lot of it was just Candace did not expect to get called out. So we get Karen and her former assistant, Matt. I have never really cared for Matt. Something about him gives when I'm with Miss Karen Hillier, I'm going to make sure I show up and out because I want to keep getting invited back to the show. I don't know about him. But Karen is planning a live show. And I'm thinking, a live show for what? So he asked her what was the inspiration behind doing this live, what Karen is calling like a variety show. And she said her friendship with Wendy Williams. And then production decides to roll back footage of when Gisele and Robin, they were out the first episode of the season, where they were telling Karen that they are going to start doing live shows for their podcast. So Karen mentions to Matt that their friend group tends to do the same thing at the same time. So she wants to make sure that whatever she's doing, this variety show, is very, very different than Robin and Gisele's podcast. And Matt was like, well, doing a live podcast is boring. Like I said, Matt just likes to say things to have a moment. Live podcasts are like huge for podcasts right now. There are so many podcasts that have live shows. Like, it's not boring unless the podcast itself is boring. But whatever. So he's talking about having singers and a drag show and all this type of stuff. And Karen is glossing over because she just wants to have the damn show. Karen does so much random stuff. I don't understand this live show. I don't. So then we get Robin and Candace. They are meeting up. Wait a minute. Before that, Wendy and her husband. So I guess they were in Chicago. Wendy kept pronouncing it Chicago. And I was like, what? You ain't never heard nobody say Chicago. And she was joking and she was like saying it like a mobster. Her husband was like, but you aren't one. So they were in Chicago because Wendy was a keynote speaker. You know, Wendy does popping things in her professional world. So she was a keynote speaker. That's dope. And then they briefly started to talk about the fact that she has kidney stones and how she's kind of hoping that it passes naturally. But if not, she's going to go to she has a doctor's appointment for that. So then we get this scene with Robin and Candace. So earlier in the episode, we see Candace and Chris planning her like graduation party. Candace has graduated with her MBA from Howard, which is huge. So she wants to have like a graduation party in the backyard. She said that the reason that she found out that she did indeed say that about Karen, that Karen was stepping out, was because one of the producers told her. So she said that she's going to invite Karen because she wants to have a conversation with her. She also mentions Robin and how she looks up to Robin and trusts Robin the most. Chris was like, yeah, Robin's cool. I appreciate her. And then Candace mentions that she's still waiting to get her period. So I guess she's wondering if she's going to be pregnant. I always find it interesting how how Candace keeps saying she looks up to Robin the most and she trusts Robin the most. I thought Wendy was like your ride or die. Didn't she bring Wendy onto the show? I don't get it. So it just seems like whenever it's convenient for Candace to go against the masses, to go against the Green Eye Bandits, that's when she wants to like side with Wendy. It doesn't seem like they just naturally, I don't know. I thought that they were closer than they were, but apparently Robin is Candace's girl. So they're at this restaurant. Candace walks in and she asks Robin, who was like already tearing up, and I was like, well, what did we miss? But apparently Robin's hairstylist, her sister and brother-in-law, or was it her brother and sister-in-law? Her brother and sister passed away. This in a very tragic accident. And, Robin has been getting her hair done by that lady for years and years. So, like, she feels bad for them. I'm sure she knows their brother and sister. So Candace, who's a crier by default. So they have a moment where she hugs her and you can just see that their friendship is going to melt back into what it was. Because tragedy, unfortunately, is often the glue that pulls people back together. So Robin feels that now that it's very important for her to squash any stupid drama with people that have some semblance of importance to her. So Robin says that she considers Candace as a little sister. Candace feels the same way. She says she feels that Robin is the only person in that group that she has really felt that way about. And I'm just like, really? I don't know why this is like so shocking to me. But I guess I didn't realize Robin and Candace were so close. I don't know. It's weird. Nonetheless, Robin is wondering why Candace was even questioning her loyalty on the Instagram Live if she truly feels that way. And Candace kind of feels like, look, I wasn't talking about you. Okay, I was just making making conversation about everybody. So Robin tells her, look, in the future, just be a little bit more specific with what you're saying. Robin was just on a rampage that weekend, and when she heard that, she didn't give Candace the benefit of the doubt at all. In her mind, she heard what was going on, and she was being pissy, so she decided to run it back to the group. That entire trip was just chaos. And I think that Robin fell into the chaos of that, and in the process, she threw Candace under the bus. But at the same time, Candace, you said it. Nobody really threw Candace under the bus. Candace said it. Candace said it. So then we get Mia. She's opening up a new Cairo office. The first one in DC. Jacqueline and Karen show up to support. Karen asks about her mother. Mia gets slightly emotional and says she didn't come. Karen said, you know what? I'm sorry. This is your day. I shouldn't have even brought it up. Mia is giving a speech. And I'm like, aren't these just your workers? Because nobody was there. Like, it's not like they showed a bunch of people coming to this grand opening. It was Jacqueline and Karen. I don't know how grand openings work for businesses like that, but I would think there would be a few more people, but maybe not. Hey, whatever. So we get Ashley. Ashley's going by Uncle Lump's house. So she has Dylan, and she brings him in. He's asleep, and she tells them that, I was supposed to have both babies, but Michael was home and he wanted to spend some time with Dean. He had just got back from, I think she said, Vegas. Michael goes out of town so much. Michael ain't never in Potomac, or where do they live? Just the DC area. Michael is never home. So she was saying how Michael was upset because he wanted to spend some time with the boys because he's been out of town. That's your fault. So it turns into like an argument where Michael is saying that she doesn't plan anything correctly. And she's like, fine, we can just stay back and go a little later. And she's like, no, you can go. He wanted to spend some time with Dean on his own. You don't have to start an argument or start a fight about that, though. So they turned to a huge screaming match, and Ashley said that Dean just started yelling, stop. The last thing that you want is your child, your 2 or 3-year-old child, yelling stop when mommy and daddy are fighting. So that means that y'all are fighting too much. And yes, it is time for y'all to separate and get a divorce. That's exactly what that means. So Ashley is saying that she is scared to raise both boys by herself, and she's just scared of being on her own. Ashley has been a kept woman. Now it's time to put your big girl panties on, and you're going to have to grow up. You have 2 kids. You can do this on your own. You have a mother. You have a supportive uncle, a supportive aunt. You have a brother. You have a village of friends. I think Ashley is scared of having to pay for everything on her own. Ashley said a couple episodes ago, she doesn't know how much things cost because she's never had to pay for things. She's never had to pay the bills. She probably doesn't have to go out and pay for the groceries. You have to do that now. You're an adult. You have 2 boys. You chose to file for divorce, so that's what's going to happen. That's just what's going to happen. So it will all work out, but as we can see, Ashley has jumped into another relationship very, very quickly. Anyway, so you ain't going to be by yourself for too much longer. We get Candace picking up her mom from the airport. She's telling her mom that she is waiting on her period, that her period is several days late. Her mom was like, oh, a baby, okay. But you can tell that her mom would be like super excited to have a grandchild. We get Gisele is at the twins' birthday party, Angel and Adore. And look, they're having like a little dinner party. It was a beautiful setup. And Gisele has a separate room to the side for the adults. Remember, her daughters said they don't want her in the room. They don't want their daddy in the room embarrassing them, taking all the air out the room. So she has like a little separate room where her and some of the parents probably are just going to hang out. We see Ashley, Sharice, and Robin come. Jamal comes in. I feel like Jamal is just like always in preacher mode when he talks, but she introduces him for the ones that don't know him. And then they go in and give a speech for the twins' birthday. And they're a nice looking family. When the 5 of them are standing out together, Grace is there. The twins look pretty. Like, it seems like a really, really nice event. Jamal gives the speech talking about how the kids, the twins are like just amazing kids. They don't cause any trouble. He said they haven't had to bail them out of jail. And she was like, jail? Gisele gives a speech saying that how she wishes she had the confidence and the poise and determination and independence that her twins now have at 16, and she amazes them, and they are just very, very, like, they're her heart and soul. I saw some people on Twitter be like, she didn't mention Grace as her. Come on, y'all. Y'all know when parents say that, especially about a child's birthday, that's just what they mean. I don't think she has any favoritism with the twins over Grace. All right. So, but it looked like a nice party. They all looked like they had a lot of fun. Happy birthday to the twins. So we switch over to Candace's party. So Candace is like getting things set up. Outside there was a snake in the grass, and her mother was like, "Oh, I thought Gisele wasn't coming. Look, she came anyways." Ha ha ha. So then Karen and Ray show up. Robin comes, Sharice comes, and Wendy comes. Wendy comes, and it was like, okay, 2 degrees. I mean, it's not 4, but it's 2. And see, Wendy, that's why we didn't like you initially. That's why we didn't like you initially, because we know you have 4 degrees. We applaud you for having 4 degrees, but why even make that statement? Y'all can say it's as innocent as you want, and yeah, it probably is, but there was shade laced all up and through there. I just feel, to me, there was just no need to make that statement, personally. So Candace said she took her pregnancy test and it came back negative. Karen asked Robin, when is the wedding? I am so sick of them asking this lady when her wedding is. I just feel like people are making such a big deal about this wedding. Why do y'all care so much? Is it just me? But like, why do y'all care so much? Like, Lord, if she gets married, if she doesn't, if they want to elope, if they don't, like, it's just, to me, it's just not that big of a deal. But Robin said it's going to be a private ceremony for just the 4 of them, her, Juan, and their boys. Karen in her confessional was like, oh, they're going to make now it's super private and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. Who cares? Karen makes a statement that, if you guys just want to continue to shack up and do whatever, then that's fine, but whatever. Yes, it's fine. Let her do whatever she wants to do. If she don't want to get married, they don't have to get married. If they want to stay as fiancés forever, let them stay as fiancés. I just don't see why it's such a big deal. I personally do not get that. So Wendy comes over and her and Robin have another little conversation. Wendy said that she just wants to apologize again because she does miss her and she misses their friendship. Robin wants to know why Wendy is okay with having conversations like this where she accepts blame and apologizes when there's no one around, when she doesn't have to act like she's winning a debate all the time. And she just doesn't know which Wendy is the real Wendy. And Wendy said that's a valid question, because it is, though. Because it is. And I feel like, Robin, you should have been asking yourself that question too, because you do the same thing. Because we see Robin have all these little side conversations and scenes where she is seemingly going against whatever stance Gisele has, but when she's around Gisele, she feels that she can't do the same thing. I'm not one of those people that thinks that Gisele is like controlling Robin. I think that Robin just wants to kiss Gisele's ass for whatever reason. I think it's more so Robin wanting Gisele's approval than it is Gisele like pulling the puppet strings. So Wendy is like, well, I just had some liquid courage in that moment. So that's really just what it is. But I really wish Wendy would have been like, but I mean, at the same token, you act a certain way with me in front of the entire group as well. That's very different than how when we were at the club together too. But they both go on to say that they both miss each other's friendship. They want to make it, they want to get back to where they were. Wendy apologizes again, and then she asks Robin, don't you have something, you want to say too? Because Robin is like, what do you need from me? Do you need me to take accountability for anything? Wendy just wants an apology. Robin was like, but I did again. Do it again. Do it again, Robin. Apologize again. So they apologize again. They hug it out. And now everybody seems to be back on one accord, aside from Candace and Ashley beefing, and then Gisele and Candace. So Karen and Candace talk. And Candace tells Karen that in that moment, I did not remember saying it, but I did. And that's my bad. My bad is not an apology. Not the way that you were trying to show out, Candace. Candace needed to say, I'm sorry. But she apologizes. And she said that she was drinking with a demon. Don't put that on Ashley, girl. You said it, Candace. The thing is, Candace, when Candace does apologize, it's always typically her throwing blame on someone else. But she apologizes, and Candace mentions, even though the group is very disjointed and she doesn't get along with everyone per se, she wishes everyone was there. Because typically, even when these housewives are having discord with one another, they're all still able to like be in the same room, be around, or be at different events. But it's gotten to a point where Candace just doesn't want to be around Gisele for obvious reasons. Gisele should not be at their house. If Chris made you uncomfortable, don't carry your ass to their house, and don't have her in your house. So it's going to be, issues within the group. So Ray comes over to Chris, and Ray feels that the issue that they have is between Chris and Gisele. It shouldn't involve Candace at all. That's true, Ray, but if you got a problem with my husband, the way that Candace has chose to handle it is you have a problem with her. So Chris said that, look, if she was uncomfortable, then she was uncomfortable, but it's nothing that he did. Now, that statement right there is how this entire thing should have been handled. Because what has always been the case is Chris has always said, hey, if she felt uncomfortable, then she felt uncomfortable. Whereas Candace is like, you weren't uncomfortable at all. This all could have been solved way back when Gisele told Candace she felt uncomfortable. It should have been like, what made you feel uncomfortable? When Gisele said it was the optics, I'm, with the married man, blah, 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 that type of stuff. Then Candace should have said, okay, let me talk to Chris about it. And then the three of us can sit down and talk. It could have been squashed then. And then it could have been, no, you didn't do or say anything. It was just me. I felt uncomfortable in that moment. And this all could have been squashed. But Candace hyped this up. Chris hyped it up. Whether y'all want to admit it or not, Candace hyped this up and turned it into a way bigger deal than it had to be. Because y'all keep saying, well, this is going to affect Chris's job. That's why it should have been handled more privately than it was, than Candace crying about it and blasting it almost every single episode. So Ray is like, why not just apologize? Chris said, well, no, because I didn't do anything to her. So Ray is like, yeah, but just, apologize for her being uncomfortable. And I see what Ray is coming from, but I also see Chris's point too. If I apologize and say, I'm sorry, I made you uncomfortable, then it's admitting that, in his eyes, it's admitting he did something wrong. Where you could just be like, I'm sorry you felt, how people give them backhanded apologies. I'm sorry you felt that way. It could have been one of those. I don't know. I just feel like the entire situation got way more heightened than it needed to be. So now Chris is mad. So Chris is in his confessional with Candace, and they're saying that would, be admitting some type of fault, that he did something wrong. Candace is saying that they did not want to have a sit down with Gisele, because they didn't know what else that she would say. And I'm thinking, well, wouldn't you want to know? If the three of y'all have a conversation off screen, off cameras, and just the three of y'all sit down, or even if there is a camera there, like, what else do you think she's going to say? Because she has told you that Chris didn't say anything inappropriate and that Chris didn't physically do anything appropriate. So what exactly are you afraid that she's going to say? So Chris is so pissed off right now that he goes, pushes the door, opens the door, slams it open, and goes outside while Candace is giving her speech, talking about she's surrounded by family and friends and everyone in this room. And I'm like, your husband's not even in this room while you're making the speech. So I don't know if Candace didn't realize it or if it was editing, but like for your wife to be giving this speech about how she just got her MBA and for you to be outside soaking because somebody suggested, hey, why not have a sit down with the two of you, apologize if she felt uncomfortable for any reason and move on. And the entire thing was just weird. I don't think that Chris is a bad guy, but I do think that Candace and Chris are milking this as their storyline. Because what else have we seen about them? Aside from Candace's music, which is Candace's storyline, always has been. But what else have we seen about them? Every time the two of them are together, for the most part, 90% of the time, they have been talking about this. They've been talking about this. When we all know that they have had their own share of like marital issues. A lot of people didn't think that they were going to make it. The way that they're, when they argue, they argue. I mean, hell, the first season that she was on, we saw her like take off her ring and be, upset that he called her a brat. So I don't know, but let me know what you guys thought about this episode. Like I said, it didn't seem like it was too much in the episode, but don't forget to subscribe to the channel, thumbs up the video, and I will catch you guys in the next one.